I'm your host, Sheldon. The holiday season is officially over. We're on to the new year. But the NFL and the NBA, Landon, they're still going crazy.
Yeah.
Now we got our good friend Nolan from Heath, Ohio joining us today. And guys, I want to take a look at a clip from Ja Morant. It's a little old, a few weeks ago, but I still think it's very relevant to what's going on right now with the Grizzlies. Let's take a look.
Who do you look at around the league as you're studying and say, we're going to have to run through them?
Celtics.
No one in the West.
Nah, I'm fine in the West.
Well, guys, Ja Morant said those things, but he had to eat his words the next game. They got beat by the Suns. They got beat by the Warriors first, actually, which is really, you think of the Warriors as they won last year, so they're the defending champs. Yeah. They heard what he said and they said, "No way, we're gonna show you who we really are on Christmas night." So he spoiled the Grizzlies for Christmas. They got beat 123-109. The Grizzlies didn't play the Suns, who are, as of lately, they kind of fell off their throne, but they're still one of the best teams in the West, no doubt, throughout the stretch, and they got beat by them as well. I want to say, are the Grizzlies a title team that could win the title this year, or are they just all talk? Landon, we'll go with you first.
Well, my point of view, I don't really see them as a team that's going all the way. After getting smacked by the Warriors, and it does seem like they're all talk. Just overall, I mean, Ja Morant himself, I do think he's a good player.
Fantastic player.
Yeah, but I don't think he's up with like Luka and people like that. But no, I don't see them going all the way at all.
Nolan, we'll go to you.
Man, I'm right there with Landon. I think the Grizzlies are, Ja, he's one of those elite players here in the league, and I think they're a team that could, cause some problems, potentially knock somebody out of the playoff picture. But I don't think that, they're going to be making that championship run, and, I think that they need to, a couple more years of building, recruiting, getting a couple more players out there that can, really all mesh together and come together and make that championship run. But I mean, I don't think this is the year for them, but yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you guys. I mean, right now the Western Conference is wide open in terms of, a team really taking control of that Western Conference and being the no doubt, first place team throughout the stretch. Because if you look at the East, the Celtics are probably going to be in first, mostly, I think all year most likely. Yeah. But right now the West is it's neck and neck. The Grizzlies are second right now. The Nuggets are first. The Warriors are down. They're barely a play-on team, the Warriors. But you got to think Steph Curry's out till the end of January. So I mean, they beat the Grizzlies without Steph. I mean, they're point guard. I mean, best shooter of all time. They had
Right.
Jordan Poole playing, and me and Landon have seen Jordan Poole this year do really, really good, really, really bad, and that night he did really good with 32 points. But guys, I'm pretty critical of Ja Morant. I think he's a little cocky. Obviously, last year, Klay Thompson says, "Why are you guys celebrating? You haven't won anything yet. You haven't won the finals. You haven't won the MVP. So just humble yourself. You guys are a young, talented team. Act like it." The OKC Thunder blew out the Celtics last night that I got to watch, and you didn't see them running around after the game saying that the Celtics were not all that, because they're humble. They're a bunch of young players. And I think the Grizzlies, because they did so well last year in the playoffs and they got so close, I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Which, hey, when you hang with the big leagues, you're gonna have a chip on your shoulder, but you're still gonna say what he said in the interview. And I'm pretty critical of Ja Morant. I'm also pretty critical. Landon knows Justin Fields in the NFL plays for the Bears. Let me just break down a few stats for you guys. So guys, he's 25th in passing yards, 2,200. He's thrown 17 touchdowns, 11 INTs. His QBR is 53.9, so not the greatest QBR. He's 28th in completions with only 190. Guys, he's had 2 games where he's thrown over 200 yards. He's threw 254 and 208. Guys, he's played 15 games this year. But for rushing, obviously, you have to respect his rushing stats. He's first for all quarterbacks with 1,100 yards. He's 6th in the league overall. He's leading the league in yards per carry with 7.1. He also has 8 rushing touchdowns, which is 8th across the whole NFL. But the Bears are 3-13. Sorry, last year they were 6-11, and certainly this team is trending in the wrong direction. So I'm going to ask you, Nolan, first: is Justin Fields a bust?
Man, that's a tough question. It's close to home. Being here a Buckeyes fan.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the way the team has performed this year, I mean, obviously the numbers show for itself. I saw in that game that they just had this past weekend, at one point they literally had almost like your running back sweep to the end where the tight end came under center and pitched it back to Justin Fields to run the ball like a running back.
Yep.
So I mean, like, I think that they're at this point of the season, they're just trying to see, what's going to work. And I don't think that's necessarily the smartest idea because, I mean, Justin Fields, he had that separated shoulder or sprained shoulder at one point. And, I think that back when he was playing for Ohio State, you'd see him, take some shots and then still being able to air the ball out. So, I mean, I know that the Bears don't have any offensive line. So my hot take is I don't think he's a bust. I say you give him a little protection, and I think he might be able to perform like the Bears expected him to. That what they saw in college, and
right.
They need a good draft this year, picking up a stud offensive lineman, and then I think that they're not going to be amazing next year. They're not going to be their Super Bowl caliber team, but I think that Justin Fields will be the real deal, but it's going to take a year or two for the team to fully develop around him.
Okay, that's a good take. I do want to say if we compared it to any other player in the NFL, quarterback wise, it'd probably be Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. He threw 36 touchdowns that year, though. He threw 3,600 yards that year, and the team around him wasn't that great. I mean, he had Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, a receiver who is. I mean, I don't think on any team he's a starting receiver. I think he's definitely a secondary guy. He's really good. Okay, he's really good, but his hands are shaky sometimes. But that team that Lamar won the MVP on wasn't stacked like like Mahomes has had really good teams. Joe Burrow's got a really good team this year, but Justin Fields again doesn't have that. He doesn't have that really number one guy that To be honest, guys, I don't know a single receiver on the Bears. By name, I'd have to look it up. I don't know their tight ends. I can't name a single O lineman on that team. So the only real guy I can name on that offense, at least, is Justin Fields. Landon, I'll ask you: is he a bust? I'm gonna say.
Okay, so
I'll let you.
their game. I watched their game against Clemson, and he played amazing. And they had an O line that year, and he was all around. He was playing like a high caliber quarterback. And now in the NFL this year, he does not have an O line, like Nolan said. He does not have an O line, so it kind of forces him to scramble almost every single down, which is putting him in a bad spot and not being able to throw the ball. So I mean, if you give him an O line and give him a couple like better receivers, I think he can do exactly what the Bears want him to.
Sure.
And I just don't see him being a bust.
I mean, they're 3-13 this year, but they've kept it close at times with legit teams. And I think a lot of those games have been close because he could run so well. They played the Dolphins, and the Dolphins coach literally said during the game and after the game, I told him just to stop running the ball because we can't stop it. I mean, you really can't stop a guy when you expect him to throw the ball and he takes off for 15, 20 yards. He's had multiple 60-yard runs for touchdowns this year. And Lamar, though he had a historic season where he, broke the record for Mike Vick, I think Justin Fields might break the record, maybe he already has, for rushing yards by a quarterback in a season because I think he's had so many yards because he can't throw the ball like he wants to because he doesn't have any guys to throw to that are worth throwing to, I guess. But I guess, I mean, if next year is not the year for him, I think he's a bust. I think we can say, hey, we've had you for 3 years now. We picked you at the 11th pick in the draft. It's time for us to move on. We're gonna trade you, put you on second string. I don't know what they do, but I do think the clock is ticking, but maybe not this year. And now our last topic, Nolan, you were at the Bengals game just Monday night where they played the Bills, and we all saw the horrendous injury that occurred to Damar Hamlin. You were there. What was the energy like before and after that situation?
Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys ever really been to like a game like that where something were to happen, but I saw this graphic where it showed four of the most serious NFL injuries that all happened right there on the Bengals field, and we were there for three of them. We were there for when Ryan Shazier got hurt in 2017, when Tua got hurt earlier this year, and then 2 nights ago when Damar Hamlin got hurt. And I mean, it kind of like puts like a shock in the stadium, I guess you could say. And the one thing that number one really annoyed me was you didn't know what was going on.
Right.
They're not showing the replay 100 times in slow motion like they do on TV.
Anytime
There's an injury like that, anytime there's an injury like that on the field, it's the jumbotrons just kind of stay black. You don't really know what's going on. So people around you, they all start talking, and they're like, "Oh, this is what I just heard. This is what I just heard." And so what I ended up doing was me and Mitchell, we pulled up the game on my phone there, and to see what had happened. And so obviously you saw him make the tackle, a hard hit, your typical bang bang football hit, and then all of a sudden he just gets up and drops. And so when Tua got hurt, when Ryan Shazier got hurt, and we've been there in the past, after about 7 minutes, they bring the stretcher out. The stretcher was out on the field within the first minute or two. And you could just tell there was a sense of urgency. And then the ambulance came out probably within 5 minutes of it all happening. So you knew something was big. And then when we pulled up the game and we saw, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and a couple other players really, really shaken up, it was like, what just happened? And so it was just kind of one of those things where it wasn't silent in the stadium, but there was like a huge killer on the mood. The Bengals were driving, and I mean, it's just one of those things that it's so scary. And
I mean, they ended up postponing the game, and we don't really know when that game is going to be played, or if it will be played. I mean, for all I know, they might cancel the rest of the season for the Bills. I mean, who knows? Because this player, from my understanding, is still in the hospital, still under, critical condition. So anything's up in the air right now for their season. Obviously, you can't play a football game knowing that your teammate suffered an injury that could kill him. I mean, that's where we're at right now in terms of this injury. And this, we see hundreds of injuries a year, broken legs, torn ACLs, torn MCLs. This was different. I mean, this was really different. Me and Lana were watching the game, of course, on TV, and we see the guys on the panel talking about it, and they were shaken up. You could hear it in their voice. And I think everybody watching this game, or maybe connected to football in some way, was shaken up by this because, again, this is different. These players suit up every Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night to play the game they love, that they played probably their whole life. And you wouldn't think you'd get an injury like this. I mean, this was just a very rare injury. A hit to the shoulder, and there's some people even saying that it was T. Higgins' fault for initiating the hit. Shame on them. I mean, he made a football move. It's not like he hit him with his helmet or something. It wasn't like that. It was
he led with his shoulder. He tried to.
Yeah, he made a football move.
It was
unfortunately, it was just a very rare. It was something with they set his heart off beat or something. I don't know I'm not a doctor or anything, of course, but it was something that doesn't happen a whole lot. It's very rare. And for that to happen, in that situation, very, very sad. Prayers, of course, for that family, that team. I mean, I can't imagine how those Bills feel right now, knowing their teammates still, of course, in critical condition. And Nolan, you mentioned 3 times the Cincinnati Bengals, and you've been at the game where this has happened. Is it bad luck for you or something? I don't know.
No, I hope not, because I do want to go back at some point.
Right.
But, I mean, the one thing you definitely could tell there's a difference with the mood of how it was going. So, when Tua got hurt, when Ryan Shazier got hurt, while those were both very serious injuries, especially the Ryan Shazier, I mean, they still continued to play.
Right.
So, knowing the fact that they postponed this game because, of this player, that went down and everything, it was like you knew it was real big. And
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even delaying the game like they did, where, they were going to bring the teams back into the locker room and just leave the field, I thought that's weird. I mean, that alone is weird. It's like a rain delay or something. This is like there's lightning, around the stadium. and then just to postpone the game. I don't agree with. I agree with the decision to do this. I was just surprised that I just never seen this before. But of course, like I said, for either side, Bengals or Bills, it'd be hard to play knowing that some guys in the hospital, critical condition, could die due to something he suffered in the game. But guys, that's gonna wrap up our show today. Of course, prayers up for that family. Hopefully, we can see this young man. He's young, second year in the NFL. Hopefully, we can see him recover from this injury and stay playing in the NFL. And hopefully, we can see this game played out, because it's going to be a great contest. It was 7-3 when this happened, and I think it was a coin flip who's going to win that game.
It was a huge matchup too.
Huge matchup for the playoffs. These two teams could see each other in the playoffs at some point, possibly. So this could be a matchup that we see again and again for years to come, because both these teams aren't going anywhere. They got superstar quarterbacks. But guys, again, that's going to wrap up our show. Nolan, I really appreciate you being here, man. Have fun in that snow and that ice in Ohio. We're going to enjoy the sunshine in Arizona. We'll see you next time, bro.
Hey, all right, man. Thank you.
Yep. See you, Nolan.
See ya.
And guys, that's also going to wrap up our show today. I'm your host, Sheldon. Make sure you catch us next time right here on hyfntv.